Good morning, everybody. This is Venkataramani from Westernacre Consulting. I am heading the planning and analytics for Westernacre India. Along with me, I have Ankita Wadhwa, who is a subject matter expert on SAP IBP. I also have with me Srijit Ravindran, who is another IBP SME, who will be talking about the demand planning and demand sensing part. So we will start the session. Let me give you a brief introduction about Westernacre. We are a 50-plus-year-old company which started way back in 1969 in Germany. We have around 700 SAP consultants. Our core expertise is into SAP consulting with the 70 plus million euros, and we are also one of the partners with SAP for more than 25 plus years. We have done some notable very initial assignments, I would say, from the EWM, TM, yard logistics and planning area. So we cut across various domains addressing the SAP needs of our customers. We have very good exposure in multiple domains like automotive, industrial components, LSPs, FMCG, retail, life sciences, and even into oil and gas area. So a very quick snapshot. This is a very brief list, I would say, which focuses only on the IBP customers. Some I have given here as a reference. Of course, the names are not mentioned here, but we have addressed the different topics of SAP IBP by providing various solutions, including the SNOP, demand planning, response and supply, forecasting, multiple areas. This is a very quick snapshot. I will give a pass for 5 seconds for you to have a quick look. Any further details specific to customer references, that is possible when we get into further discussions at later point of time. So I will move on to the next slide. So a brief touch about the supply chain planning. We all must be knowing what are the various challenges that any industry encounters with respect to supply chain processes. Predominantly based on our analysis, I would say we have come up with this kind of representation where predominantly the visibility of the supply chain process itself is lagging in most of the business organizations, followed by products and customer segmentation. And then there are multiple other things like fixing the basic issues of supply chain, and then what are the challenges that an organization encounters from process standardization, automation, collaboration, etc. So there might be many other things as well on top of this, but we have broadly classified it under these categories. So what is typically essential when we are looking at a smooth execution of a supply chain? So it all starts with a good planning or a better planning, because any organization has a very generic process flow that is depicted here, where multiple segments are involved, like vendors to manufacturers, and then the movement of the materials or products to the distribution centers, and from there to the local warehouses, and how it is getting distributed to the customers. So it is a very complex and integrated supply chain process, and it becomes very, very important or mandatory to ensure that there is a transparency available and the details are clearly visible at any point of time, so that the expectations of the different segments of the businesses are taken care. So if you look on the right hand side of the screen, 80% people recognize that the customer expectations are perfect and their on-time delivery has increased. That is, there is an increase in business scenario. And supply chain issues definitely had a negative impact on the company's revenue or profitability. And sometimes it also becomes very difficult to manage some of the business processes when there are any kind of holidays or things like that coming up, where decision making becomes a challenge. So these are some of the very common high level issues which contributes to some kind of roadblocks on the planning perspective, which can be, I would say, minimized or nullified by having a better planning process. So if you look at a typical planning scenario, which we are seeing in the current trend, medical shortages, so owing to the recent COVID kind of situation, there is a desperate need or a surge in the needs of some of the products like sanitizers, masks, ventilators, etc., which kind of creates a shortage scenario, probably because there is insufficient planning or some kind of ambiguity in the planning process. And also, when such emergency or critical situation come across, there is also a panic that runs across within the consumers or the end users, which also makes the distribution planning very challenging. So, and the distribution network is also very, very important to ensure that the products are delivered to the respective customers on time. And how do we manage this complex network? So these kind of challenges are also seen right now in our current industries, and planning plays a very important or a key contributor in addressing these kind of challenges. So some of the planning points, pain points, of course, which is not new, dynamic needs of the customer, which keeps changing even after the product is released for delivery. And sometimes the service delivery is not responding appropriately to the customer, and short-term adjustments. And sometimes there is also the in-house built system which is lacking the support that it has to provide from the planning perspective. So how do we address these kind of pain points? That is a bigger question that comes into the mind, which is where SAP IBP provides a fantastic solution, wherein the customer's business requirements from the planning perspective can be addressed. What is the expectation of the customer when we are talking about this planning? Obviously, the expectation is to have a better sales growth with a reduction in the cost. When we say reduction in the cost, the operating cost, the inventory cost, and also the working capital. So how do we manage this by better planning is what IBP facilitates to make it successful. So with this, we will go into the IBP specific topics, and I hand over to Ankita to take over from here.
Thank you, Venkat. So I'll be walking you through the IBP portfolio and then a brief about today's topic, which is demand sensing. IBP, what is IBP? It's a cloud-based planning tool provided by SAP, and it is based on HANA in-memory technology. And it combines the functionalities of supply chain monitoring, your sales and operation planning, demand management, and supply planning into a comprehensive solution. And it covers your business processes from which can be your mid to long term or your short term planning processes. And with the help of IBP, you can synchronize your planning processes, break down the planning silos with the embedded collaborative functionalities which are available in IBP. And the IBP also integrates with the external system using, again, using the HANA CPIDS integration or the STI integration that are tools available for integrating the external systems, integrating the data into IBP and out of IBP. Covering this end-to-end, providing end-to-end visibility for your strategic, technical, and operational level of planning, and thus making your planning cycles faster and faster to react to the changes that are there in the real times for your business. And in the end, it helps in achieving your key objectives for the business, which Venkat just talked about: the sales growth, cost reduction, and the working capital improvement. So IBP, as I talked about the business processes that IBP covers, your S&OP, supply planning, inventory planning, and your response planning, and Control Tower in the end helps you to get an end-to-end visibility into your supply chain network and combine the processes and other signals that you bring into IBP, and lets you have an end-to-end visibility into that. Along with that, it combines the features such as alert and exception management and advanced analytics and dashboards for your KPIs. Yeah, and overall, it covers your a wide range of business processes, and IBP as a whole solution is segmented into different solutions or different licenses, I would say. Demand planning, S&OP planning, inventory planning, response and supply, DTMRP, Control Tower. So these are different solutions available within IBP. And demand planning, for example, combine functionalities like statistical forecasting, your new product introduction planning, promotional planning, and your short-term demand sensing solutions. S&OP planning has features such as forecasting, again, the demand forecasting and collaborative planning, generation of consensus demand plan, generation of an unconstrained supply plan using the heuristics algorithm, generating a rough cut capacity plan, and also can include your shelf life data for shelf life planning. Inventory planning, on the other hand, combines features for your inventory optimization. It considers your uncertainties in your supply chain coming from your demand side or from your supply chain uncertainties, your lead time uncertainties, and tries to optimize your inventory, keeping in mind the target service levels that are set for your business, and helps you come up with a safety stock recommendation or a reorder point recommendation out of it. Response and supply planning solution, which combines features for your finite planning solution, which can be time series based or order series based, considering your demand prioritization and supply chain constraints into consideration to come up with a feasible supply plan. Along with that, it lets you view the gating factors that are influencing the supply plan overall, and order pegging, and again, the shelf life planning, which is included in the response and supply as well. Then DDMRP, which helps with the demand-driven objectives of an organization for coming up with the buffer, decoupling points, buffer levels, and helps with the forecast automation and forecast error calculations in your demand-driven MRP solution. The Control Tower module combines, lets you see, as I said, end-to-end visibility into your supply chain, lets you have a visibility on all the processes that you have, and lets you analyze the data, and combines the features for exception management. You can assign cases to the exception management and track those exceptions, assign deadlines, and assign the people who are responsible for taking care of those exceptions, and take actions on those exceptions. So that is a Control Tower, and then what if scenario analysis, which is embedded, which is a key functionality of IBP, and lets you have real-time vision into what if scenarios, or the simulating your real-time scenarios within IBP, and lets you have visibility onto your impact of the supply chain. So all of these solutions that we talked about, where do they fit into your planning process or planning horizons? Your SNOP and inventory optimization solutions work on the mid to long term horizon. So typically they work on the monthly or quarterly level, and you work on the product volumes rather than on the product mixes when you talk about SNOP, for example. And then IBP for demand, and works on your mid to long term planning when you talk about your traditional statistical forecasting and collaborative demand planning processes. And in the short term, it helps with the demand sensing piece, and works on your daily and weekly level. Response and supply, on the other hand, works on only on the short term side. It can be used for the mid-term planning as well, but typically it's used for the short-term planning. Response and supply, generating your feasible plan, generating your distribution and dispatch plans, taking into considerations the supply chain constraints, and working in the operational level of details. And then your S/4HANA suite, which combines your detailed scheduling, PPDS functionalities at the daily level, and sequencing of your planning. So that's where all the planning processes works for your IBP portfolio. Yeah, I'll give you a 5-minute break, a 5-second break, sorry, and let you soak in the information that we just discussed. Yeah, so far we talked about IBP as a solution, what all functionalities are involved, what all solutions are available in IBP. Now we will talk about today's topic, which is focused on demand sensing piece of the SAP, the overall SAP portfolio. What is demand sensing? So demand sensing is a forecasting or a new age forecasting method which combines your machine learning functionalities and pattern recognition techniques to come up with an accurate short-term forecast, taking into consideration other demand signals which are current realities of your supply chain. So the latest demand signals, along with your machine learning algorithm and pattern recognition technique, to come up with a more accurate and realistic short-term forecast is what in brief is a demand sensing. Yeah, and who can benefit from demand sensing? So demand sensing is typically for organizations which have a more agile sort of supply chain, which organizations that want to achieve short-term demand plan and more accurate short-term demand plan and close the gap between their technical and the operational plans. And organizations that struggle typically from the volatile markets and demand shifts, for example, consumer products industry. And organizations that want to combine their customer orders or who receive customer orders in short term and want to include them in their short-term planning horizon. And as I said, organizations that have an agile supply chain and are ready to adjust in the short term their production and transportation, or have the capability to adjust the production and the transportation plan in the short-term horizon. What are the some prerequisites that we need to consider when we are talking about demand sensing? So for demand sensing, we need to consider what is the maturity level of your demand management. Do you have a synchronized demand planning process already in place? We recommend Gartner level 3 maturity for before you go ahead with the demand sensing implementation. So you need to introspect into whether you are ready for the shorter planning horizon, whether you're ready to for the frequent changes in your production cycles and frequent changeovers, and if you have access to the accurate demand downstream data that is required for demand sensing. So demand sensing, as I said, will consider your consensus demand. One of the key inputs for demand sensing is the consensus demand that is generated during the mid to long term forecasting process, and consensus demand generating by the demand planners is taken as an input. Along with that, demand sensing also can take other demand signals into consideration, like your internal signals like shipment data, deliveries, sales orders, your external signals, for example, POS data, VMI feeds. You can also integrate your weather, other causal factors such as weather, forecast, economic conditions, oil prices, etc., and trade promotions as well. So these are the demand signals, possible demand signals that demand sensing can consider and come up with a better forecast, right? And where does the demand sensing fit in the overall IBP portfolio? So demand sensing is part of the demand module or demand license, and it, as I said, it takes into consideration your traditional demand planning process and the consensus demand that is generated out of your mid to long term consensus demand planning process, and that becomes your key input, and demand sensing will try to fine tune on that consensus plan and give you a more accurate short-term demand plan considering your current realities, which can be your new sales orders or your shipment details in the one year of history, for example. So you take your weekly or monthly level of traditional consensus demand plan, and demand sensing will disaggregate that plan into a daily level of plan, taking into consideration your patterns in in your sales in the past, and come up with a more accurate demand plan in the short term. So what are the value propositions for demand sensing? So since you have a better forecast in the short term, it considers your more demand signals into consideration, real-time demand signals into consideration. You get a better understanding of your forecast bias. You get a better forecast accuracy, which can then be used to generate a better deployment plan, and it in the end results in your better on-time delivery performances, your fill rates, and customer service levels. And also the demand sensing results can then in turn be used in your inventory planning and supply planning, which in terms yields in lower safety stock levels and better responsiveness, and lowers down the cost as well. So with the better deployment results, you have the right product at the right place in the right time, so that reduces the stock outs or expedites that you would have, and in the end make the supply chain more agile and towards the changes in the short-term horizon. Yeah. So next I'll hand over to Srijit, who will walk you through the demand sensing in the system and show you how it looks like, and walk you through a demand sensing story as well. So over to you, Srijit.
Good afternoon, everyone. So we will now go through the demand sensing story. So we have a story for you, the story of Milton Chocolates, and we will see how demand sensing helped transform their business, right? And after that, we will have a hands-on screen, like hands-on look of IBP, look and feel of it, right? So let's get started. We know even though the Milton Chocolates have a very good demand management and they have adopted pull model, Milton Chocolates continue to struggle with delivery performance. And you can see here the main problem they have is in shop A they have excess of inventory, and in shop B they have a shortage, and eventually they are losing out on the market share to competitors. Like when a customer comes to the shop and if there is no product available, since it is a relatively low cost chocolate, which is our main product here, they will go with a different brand chocolate, and eventually Milton Chocolates is losing out to the competitors. So this is the current situation in Milton Chocolates company, and now we will see what is the actual reason for happening this kind of a scenario in their business, right? I'll give you a few seconds for you all to look at this particular supply chain network they have. So they have a manufacturing plant and they have 3 distribution centers here, and this is how the replenishment happened from plant to distribution centers. And as I said, they have a very good demand planning at an aggregated level, at a weekly level. They have arrived at a forecasted demand of 15,000 pounds at the plant level, right? So they have assumed that they have 3 distribution centers and they have to replenish in this pattern of 1,000 pounds per day. You can have a look at the demand pattern at the DC1. Even though they are replenishing 1,000 pounds per day, there is a demand pattern in the DC1 which is like front loaded. More sales will happen in the initial days of a week and tapering off rest of the week. When you see the DC2, the distribution center 2, we can see there is actually no sales happening in the initial few days of the week. But going from Wednesday, Thursday, we have a rise in the sales happening. DC3 is an ideal case. We have an average sales happening 1,000 pounds per day, right? So this is the case in the 3 distribution centers for the Milton Chocolates. But what they're currently doing is they are shipping 1,000 pounds per day to all the 3 DCs. So if you look at the DC1, we can see on the Monday, we will have only 1,000 pound on hand stock, but we have a demand for about 2,000. So we are not able to fulfill the demand from the customer. And even on Tuesday, we can see we are having a stock out situation. But after the Wednesday, we will be able to see that stock is coming and getting accumulated in the warehouses, right? That is the case in DC1. And in DC2, on day 1, on Monday, we will be having 1,000 pound stock on hand, but there is no sale happening. On Tuesday, it will become 2,000 pound, and on Wednesday, it will become 3,000 pounds of stock in on hand. And the actual sales is going to happen on Thursday and Friday, right? So on the initial few days, we will have excess stock, right? This is kind of a shop A we have seen in the previous screenshot, and DC1 is the case for shop B, where we have less stock when we have high demand. DC3 is the ideal case, and if we go with average pattern of 1,000 pound per day, it will fulfill the demand. But this is not the real case in our real world, right? Now we will see how demand sensing algorithm helped identify this demand pattern on these 3 distribution centers, and how Milton Chocolates were able to change their replenishment pattern according to that. Now you can see that demand sensing was able to generate and identify the demand pattern, the daily demand pattern from the sales history. So you can see to DC1, the replenishment pattern has changed now. Instead of average 1,000 pounds, we can see 2,200, 1,700, 500, 350, 250. So there is a high shipments happening on the initial few days, and the shipped quantity gets reduced towards the week end. So that actually meets the customer demand. On Monday, we have a demand of more than 2,000, and we have that stock available on that particular day, right? Similarly for DC2, initially we will be shipping less quantities, and going forward we will ship more quantities to fulfill the demand. So demand sensing helped identify this demand pattern happening on the DC1, DC2, and DC3. There is no sales pattern in DC3, so it will generate the same average value. But in DC1 and DC2, when we run the demand sensing algorithm, the sensed demand will be according to that daily demand pattern. Now we will go to the IBP screens, and we will see what all capabilities and options we have to model the demand sensing algorithm, right? And we will discuss in detail about that as well. So the main input for the demand sensing algorithm is the for requested quantity. It is nothing but the sales order information, the requested quantity on the sales orders in the past as well as in the future, right? So it will have some open orders for the future as well. So all the information we are giving as an input. So this will help demand sensing algorithm to generate the sense demand output. And the output will be stored in the sense demand quantity key figure, which is at a day level. And we have seen that demand sensing algorithm reacts to the external demand signals like point of sale or VMI feeds or any other external causal factors like weather, competitor information. So all that can be added as an extra signal here, right? And the more accurate the data we give it to the algorithm, more refined will be the sense demand. And we also have the capability to define the working days of that particular factory. And if there is a holiday, like here you can see Saturday and Sunday we have marked as holiday, there will not be any sense demand generated on these days. And this can be modeled according to your business, according to your working days of the factory, and this can be modeled. And since demand sensing runs at a product, location, and customer level, like if you have multiple locations which are working on different working days, we can have multiple profiles created, and we can run the demand sensing with the filter of that specific locations. Right? Going to the demand sensing algorithm, the other inputs. So mainly we have two demand sensing algorithms. One will be the demand sensing full, and another one is a demand sensing update. So demand sensing full we execute once in a week, considering all the input and identify the sense demand pattern, the demand pattern at the daily levels. And within the week, if there is some new sales order has come in or multiple times in a week, if you just need to consider the other demand signals, we can go with demand sensing update run. So it will be more faster, and it will consider the recent changes in the demand signals. For example, if there is any new open sales order has come, it will get that information and update the sense demand accordingly. So the first options, like these are all the inputs we can give to demand sensing to get a more refined sense demand output. So we can use custom key figure calculations for the regression output. So we can actually make some key figure calculation changes that will be used by the machine learning steps. So if you want to use that option, we can enable this. And we have an option to activate time series analysis. So this, if we enable this option, system will go through the complete sales history, and it will analyze the characteristics and trends in the history, and the sensed demand output will be more refined considering the characteristic and trends, right? And this is the main and the key input, the consensus demand, the mid to long term consensus demand we have arrived, and this is one of the key input to the demand sensing algorithm. And here we have used consensus demand without promotion, right? We have eliminated the promotion part from the consensus demand, and we have given that as input. And if for your organization, if there is no promotion affecting the demand, you can directly give the consensus demand as input here. And this is a future signal we are giving to the algorithm, and it will be on the weekly periodicity. And the level as of now, the consensus demand should be at weekly product location customer level. And we can further give more details like the consensus demand snapshot, the lag-based snapshot key figure we can give. So demand sensing algorithm calculates the output according to that, and it will be more refined output. So we know that the consensus demand is the key input, and sense demand will be the output. But if we want to restrict the sense demand output to a certain threshold value, that we can model here. We can either give the quantity, or we can model it according to the percentage. So here we are saying it can go up to 50% increase, and even the decrease should be within the 30% limit. So we are able to define the threshold values here. And going to the daily disaggregation method, we have three options here. First one will be the best fit approach, and we have two dynamic approaches based on sales orders, and another one will be based on delivered quantities. So if you take example of dynamic based on sales order, system will see how is the demand pattern happened in the past in the sales orders, and accordingly the demand pattern will be identified. The daily demand pattern will be identified based on the sales order information. Right, it is on a daily level, and we also have the option to give the delivered quantity as an input to the demand sensing algorithm. The system will consider all this input and it will generate a short-term forecast at a daily level. We have done model the demand sensing configuration part of it, and we can go to the Excel user interface and we will be able to see how it looks like. So let's first look at the weekly level key figures for demand sensing. And as we have seen, the main input, the requested quantity we can see here, and what is the confirmed quantity and the delivered quantity, right? And demand planning quantity, nothing but the consensus demand for the future mid to long term. And the output will be in the sense demand quantity. This is at week level, so we can see that the sense demand quantity is 350 to 352 in the initial 2 weeks, and in the week 51 we can see there is a spike of 500. And why that 500 came as the output is that there is an open order which is of 500 quantity on week 51. So sense demand sensing algorithm was able to get that information and change the forecast according to that, right? And we have a capability of modifying this value if planner is 500 is not required and cannot be fulfilled. Planner can actually come here and modify the value. He can enter 400 here and save it, and that will be moved to the final sense demand quantity. So here we have the main input and the output key figure for at weekly level. But the same weekly level key figure, when we look at a daily level on the right hand side, we can see that system has actually identified a pattern in the sales happening. So at this particular location, right, we can see that there is an increasing trend demand sensing able to identify. So initially we can see less number of sales happening and more sales happening over the week, Thursday and Friday. So demand sensing was able to identify that daily demand pattern, and we will be able to use this information to do the transportation and production plan. So now we have seen the input and output key figures, and in the real case we will be having thousands and thousands of products, and we will not be able to go and review each and individual results of the demand sensing. So we will be using the approach of manage by exception approach, and we can define the alerts. For example, here we have taken an alert that if the sense demand is greater than 10% of the consensus demand, show it as an alert, right? So here he have one alert generated for that condition we have given, and we can see here that consensus demand was only 351, but the sense demand was around 538. So planners will look quickly able to identify like the products or combinations which requires attention and take necessary action accordingly, right? So this is the custom alert which we can define. This comes under the control tower module, which we have seen already. And we can also have dashboards created. We can have one dashboard specific for reviewing the demand sensing output, and we can add alerts, charts, all the analytics tools in one single platform, and we'll be able to review the results. So here we can see at consensus demand at week level, we have a uniform pattern. And here we have a chart created at a sense demand at a daily level, and we can see here a trend. And these 2 days, there is no demand generated as it is holiday, and we'll be able to review that output of sense demand. Here we have the same alert which we have seen in the previous screen here. So in one single screen, planners will come and able to take necessary action accordingly, right? With that, we complete our presentation, and now we will be open for any questions you have, right? I hand it over to Kristen to let us know if there are any open questions to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ankita, Shreet, and Venkata for your presentation. We got a few questions in the last 45 minutes. So if you have any other questions, then please use the question tab on the right side. You can enter your question and we will answer it directly. So Ankita, one question to you. Can demand planning module alone be implemented for IBP? Could you please answer that?
Right. So IBP, any module, if you're going ahead with it, it comes with separate licensing that I explained in the presentation as well. So all the solutions are segmented into different licenses. So when you say demand sensing, that falls in the demand module. So you will go ahead with the demand licensing and go ahead with just the demand planning implementation. So in short, the answer is yes. You can go ahead with just the demand planning.
Okay, then we got one question for Venkata. What is the approximate implementation duration for planning module?
Yes, Christian. See, it again depends on the kind of coverage we are focusing from the IBP perspective, because we do have different options. Like Ankita said, if it is only demand planning, sometimes we want to go with the big bang covering SNOP, demand, supply and response, then the duration would be different. But we definitely have a concept of packaging where certain basic requirements or the needs of the planning, which would also put the end users into a comfort zone, wherein a phased approach can also be worked out. So different options are definitely available, and depending on which one can be tailor-made for that particular organization, we can definitely work it out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Ankita, one more question. I think it's nearly the same direction as the first. What are the licensing requirements for IBP? So SNOP, DP, and supply.
Right. As I explained earlier, all solutions that we talked about, whether it's IBP for demand, IBP for SNOP, IBP for response and supply, and IBP for inventory and control tower. So all of these are divided into different licensing. So we analyze the business case first and the business requirements, and then help you come up with the decision on, or help you decide on which modules are best suited for your case. And depending upon that, you can go ahead with the licensing, and it can be a full SNOP, a combination of SNOP demand, for example, SNOP inventory, for example, and yeah, that's how the licensing will go.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. And now a few, I think, more technical questions in terms of the demand sensing. Shrijit, how is the integration of IBP with other SAP and non-SAP applications enabled?
Right. So we have specific integration tools according to the data we need to get into the system. For example, if we are integrating with EC system or S/4HANA system, like if we want to bring in time series data, it will be CPI-DS. And if it was like for order-based planning, if you need that information, we can use SDI. And we also have specific add-ons available for integrating with our ECC or S4 system. Any integration with non-SAP system can also be done, and we have adapters for that. For example, we have a file adapter, so we'll be able to load flat files received from any other third-party system, right? Either in CSV file and or any flat file format, and we will be able to load that to IBP system. The same way, the outbound integration also will work with SAP systems or any non-SAP system.
Okay, and can you also integrate calendar information?
Yes, so calendar information for demand sensing, as of now, it is not available. Only option we have is the work days we have. We have seen that in the session, like if there is any particular holidays in a week, we can define that. But SAP has given a roadmap of that the calendar integration will be possible by 21.02 version of IBP. So there we will be able to get that factory calendar information, and on a particular day, if it is a holiday, there will not be any sense demand generated. But if there is any emergency sales order on that particular day, that will be even considered. So that is a future enhancement IBP has planned already. As of now, that calendar integration to demand sensing is not available.
Okay, so at the moment, 2 questions left. Can demand sensing be executed without external demand signals?
Right. So many organizations will not have all the details about the external demand signals, like point of sales happening or any causal factor information. So without that, demand sensing will work. So the daily demand pattern recognition will be based on the internal demand signals. So whatever sales happened in the past, as well as based on the future open sales orders, the daily demand pattern will be recognized. But if we give more, so we have the capability of giving more input to demand sensing, like all the external causal factors and demand signals, and demand sensing algorithm will be able to fine tune the sense demand accordingly. So the more information, the more accurate information give to the demand sensing, it will be more beneficial, and the more accurate the results will be. But without that external factors, we can still go with demand sensing.
Okay, and then one last question. How does demand sensing deal with slow-moving intermittent demand?
Right. For slow-moving intermittent demand, so like any organization, as we have seen, like if they are able to work on an agile supply chain platform, like if there is any, we are the output, what we are giving from the demand sensing will be at a daily level, right? And if the organization is able to adapt the transportation and production according to that, at that level, daily level, then we can go ahead with that, right? That depends upon the level of the maturity of their demand management. If they are able to work on that agile platform, surely we can go with that.
Okay, thank you. And then we got one more question. There are multiple features available, common in both demand and response and supply. Then what's unique in response and supply, which can be managed through demand alone? In short, what's so unique in response and supply without which we can't manage through demand?
Right. So as we have seen the initial slides, so that capability is available in each license is different. So like as we said, like IBP, SNOP, we can have a heuristic run, which is an unconstrained plan. And for example, if we need a constrained and feasible supply plan, we have to go with a constrained supply plan, which comes under response and supply. So it depends upon what actually the organization need. Do they actually need a constrained supply plan? And do they need to have inventory optimization to be done, right? Generation of safety stock. Do they need to buy that per license? It depends upon each individual organization's necessity. So main input, I mean, the main difference is that if we can go with IBP for demand, we can go with that, or there are separate licenses. Like for SNOP, if they want only the demand planning side and the unconstrained supply plan, we can go with that. But if you want to have constrained supply plan details, we have to go with response and supply.
Thank you. Last question for now. So there is no calendar integration. How do we mark our past historic events like promotion, etc. in the systems for better forecasting?
We have, there's a different module, like we have an application for that, for do the promotion planning. And we can also use that information, the promotion planning details in IBP. And if we want to exclude that, we have a pre-processing step to eliminate promotion in the demand sensing step. So we can do that as well. So we can take care of the promotion planning side in IBP.
No more questions. Thank you very much. Thank you, your participants. I think from my side, we are done. We're finished. So have a nice day. And maybe Venkata, Shreet, Ankita, you want to say something?
Thank you very much. Hope we were able to throw some light on the demand sensing, and we also wanted to briefly touch base beyond demand sensing, covering a very high overview of the IBP as well. I am very sure that this 1 hour slot is definitely not enough. We have done 2 sessions earlier, and this is the 3rd session. Though it was focused on demand sensing. We wanted to give a holistic idea covering IBP and then talk a little bit more about demand sensing. That was the thought process this session was organized. So in case you have any questions or you want to clarify something, you can always reach us back. Christian would help facilitating that, and we would be happy to take it forward. Thank you.